insects as food. Obviously, one of the greatest opportunities is the ecological footprint of insects. Very, very small footprint. You're going to hear a lot more about it, or you already know about it. And in marketing, you know, as soon as you say the word insect, what people conjure up is that hairy, ugly cockroach that I saw in my kitchen when I turned the light on. And so now others are trying to say, well, you know, maybe we call it land shrimp. Blah. I say, no, stick with it, man. Insects, there's nothing wrong with it. Why apologize? Shrimp are shrimp, lobsters are lobsters, crabs are crabs. Nobody apologizes for it. Just call it an insect. There are multiple different kinds of insects. There are insects that are good, insects that are bad, and insects that you can eat. There's a whole bunch of them that you can eat. Many cultures have been eating. So, you should relate it to the healthy therapeutic foods. And if you look at, for example, you know, the amount of money that we spend on traditional sources of protein, you know, whether it's from wheat and beans and fish and so on, all the way down to beef and lamb and goat, it costs serious money. And the ecological footprint of these things, particularly, for example, when you're thinking of livestock animals, it's pretty huge ecological footprint that you've got. Insects, in the proximate analysis that's been done, offer some really, really high return for the investment that you've got in terms of the protein profile, the nutrient profile, and things like that. And there's another study that's been done looking at crickets, beef and pork and chicken, and look at the profile of protein, iron, and zinc. And they offer some very interesting profiles. That's great. But what's the connection to human and animal health and growth and development? We got to have those kinds of studies done as well. Not enough to just say, oh yeah, insects are cool, you know, they have great nutrients in there, low carbon, etc., etc. I would say bogus. We need to, ourselves, in the business of this, we need to step up and say, these are the things that we need to do. We cannot repeat the mistakes that have been made in other sources of food that we consume as well. And, you know, also the opportunity afforded for bioprocessing, bioprospecting. Insects offer some pretty cool sources of antifungal, antibacterial. You know, the American cockroach, which is reviled the world over, in the neck region of the cockroach, there's a particularly characteristic smell of cockroaches. My PhD research was on the sexual behavior of cockroaches, by the way. I've smelled those cockroaches a lot. And in the neck region, they produce this suite of chemicals that are phenomenal antibacterial properties to them. What's the possibility that we can use that? You know, some young person starts a business, says, I'm going to prospect for these sorts of value-added chemicals that we can get out of it too. Other things that we can incorporate into this. So, another challenge that we've got are the policies. You know, unlike the Western Europeans that have come up with a more common sense approach to creating the path forward, we're still kind of struggling. We're making some steps. We've had some success in the last 3, 4, 5 years or so, and we've made some progress. And I think this is the biggest thing. The Food and Drug Administration Office of Food Additive Safety will not take any action unless they're petitioned. And so the community that is this group right here and all the folks across America needs to come together and petition the United States government to say, give us a GRAS, generally recognized as safe, definition for proteins derived from insects. A protein is a protein is a protein is a protein. It doesn't matter where it comes from. But the biggest concern is, in the production of that protein, there may be some, in quotes, allergens that come in as well. That's where you got to get this certification and things like that. So really, as I said back in Indianapolis, Andrea would maybe remember, I said, shame on you, the group that was sitting there. You need to wake up and do this. It's already been several months since I said that. Several years since I've been saying this. People aren't able to get their act together. Come together and work together. You know, if each one of the producers today, we got well over 100 people that are producing insects, contributed $1,000 each. That's $100,000. You can get those lobbyists in Washington, D.C. to go sit in the